Welcome back. We miss y'all. Major facts. You know what I mean?
Talk to him, bro. What we saying?
Yo. Well, first of all, let's get out the way what we always say. When we mean it, that the vulnerable are powerful. And the most gangster thing you could do is serve. And the second most gangster thing you could do is tune into the All the Way Live podcast. That's what this is. You know what I'm saying? That's what we are. What's up?
Hey, live every Sunday, the All the Way Live podcast. Absolutely welcome to everybody that's joining us. Those that are live, welcome. Those that are joining us afterwards on all the socials and platforms and all of that. We appreciate absolutely everybody for coming here. What we do is cultivate a space of positivity through carefully curated content for your cranium, man. We do that every single week just for y'all. Even if for a moment we can be a place of positivity for people. You know what I'm saying? Even if for an hour we're a place where people can go and feel refreshed and feel loved and appreciated. We do that through content for y'all, man. Every week.
Get cozy. You know what I'm saying? Whatever your vice is, get into that vibe. You know what I'm saying? Get you a big plate of food. You know what I'm saying? Get you a glass of wine. You know, go sit on your porch if you're somewhere where you're fortunate enough not to be in Chicago because it is cold over here. You know what I'm saying? Chicago is most definitely in the building. The wind chill is most definitely in the building. The Windy City is for sure, earning its name in a big way, no doubt. But without further ado, we also got to mention that Exeter is in the building, you know what I'm saying? And South Africa is always forever in the building in spirit by way of Exeter and my homeboy chasing that Masters. We're proud of him, you know what I'm saying? Don't ever forget that me and all the Live Nation, we in the bleachers cheering for you on them hard nights studying. We know you've been making it happen. We know you've been moving around, maneuvering. It's been a lot of boss talk in the group chat. I know you've been handling business over there. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man. Hey, man, I appreciate the love. I appreciate it. It's a group effort. It's a group effort. We're all in this race together to see each other win, man.
Big facts, man. And at some point, we'll have to designate a segment to get into all of the recent moves of Mendulo, all of the recent moves of Good Bucks, all of the recent moves of Chami Bice. Man, it's just it's deep. The portfolio is wild deep. But also what runs deep is our appreciation, man, for where we are, where we come from, where we speak to you from. On this side, the podcast is recorded on stolen land here in Chicago, right? So this land here, the city of Chicago, was cared for by the Council of the Three Fires, the Potawatomi people, the Native American, the indigenous people that were here way before all of that Columbus, all of that stuff that gets mad confused. So we can't allow that, right? We have to be clear about history, never ever more so than now, right? So as part of the land acknowledgement today, we also want to lift up love. 102 Native American students that went to boarding school in Nebraska from 1884 to 1934 were killed, right? We continue to uncover the violence that has been done to remove Native American people from not only this land, but from our collective memory, right? From the history books. And so we can't ignore that. That's why we do the land acknowledgement every show, right? Is to remember that as Black folks, we are a group that's constantly fighting for our recognition, our history, our ability to be free and have our rights. And so we got to lift that up for every group, right? Every group of color, every marginalized group, whether that's based on gender, sexual preference, whatever it is, right? So lifting up love, as always, for Native American people the world over, for indigenous people the world over. Like that, the intro's over. Love. And real quick, before we get all the way into the show, I will acknowledge Biden throughout that there's going to be an effort to protect Native Americans, right? They're forming a missing and murdered unit task force for indigenous people. So that's something that is on a federal level that is being implemented, but we want to see results. So go and do your Googles on that. The missing and murdered unit for indigenous people task force. That's hopefully something that curbs this tradition of violence against Native American and indigenous people in this country, which is inseparable from the state that we find this city in, of Chicago, this country and of the United States and this world, man. Now we into the show, man.
Yo, the kid's official sliding on the instrumental. Nordic combos, twist your mental like forbidden jitsus. My click's initial.
Yeah, I get that, but is we live though? Is we like all the way live though? You heard?
Hey, Brother Miles, it is such a pleasure to be with you on this day, talking to you. There's so much going on in the world, man, and I feel like every week it is a bit of a challenge for us to find different topics to talk about because there's so much that's going on. Like you're looking on one side of the world and you're seeing in Poland, there's people in the borders just going at it, and then there's marches and strikes happening on one side, and then obviously all of the things that transpire through this week in the US, with the court case with Kalrilla and whatnot. So it is a bit difficult when it comes down to what matters, right? Like what really matters. And we're having a conversation offline. If I can go off of script a little bit, right? If we had a conversation offline where you're saying you think things are getting worse, well, I was saying I think things are actually on the up and up and getting better. What did you mean by that, though?
Yeah, I don't know if I like. It's interesting to put a time component on it, right? Because whether it's getting better or worse, I don't have the full historical perspective. I think in an understanding of like sociology, if that makes sense, like, or psychology of the masses, right? But I would say that I feel like not the majority of people are either put into a position where their primary objectives not even their primary objectives, like they're looking out, they have to look out for themselves, their family, their immediate bubble. And a lot of people that even have means are also choosing that. And I feel like as I look around, I feel like it's a very small number of people, just like it's a very small number of people that do the worst things in the world, right? That are responsible for the most violence, that are responsible for most of the stuff that we see as ills in our society. A very small number of people are responsible for a lot of that, especially when it comes to violence. But on the flip side, it's a very small number of people like that I feel like are taking responsibility and not only like wanting to do something for their community or wanting to do something to improve the situation of the world, because a lot of people want to do that, but there's a certain level of commitment where you're willing to sacrifice something for that. And I feel like that's a very small number of people. Yeah. That's what I was trying to get at.
But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And where I disagree with that is just when we look at, if we would take just a general consensus, right? And this is, again, totally based on my own empirical evidence and my experiences with people, which is to say that it seems to me that a growing number of people actually want to do good, bro. Like a growing number of people actually care about making this world a better place. You see even someone as young as Greta Thunberg, who's this young girl who is an advocate for a better tomorrow, which is an advocate for climate change. Now, take away the politics behind it, the fact that it is someone of that age who is clearly supported by, young people. If you take a toll with these young kids, you ask them, what type of world do you want to live in? They would point towards a better one. And I think it's just a matter of reaching those people and equipping them to know like what they can do to make things better.
I feel you, but I feel like that's kind of on both sides of the fence, right? Because to me, as I see it, there's a difference between I want to do good and I really care, right? And maybe I'm not using the right terms when I'm trying to deliver it, but I'm trying to say, like, I feel like there are certain people that care and that are willing to, shift things around in their life to address an issue, and there are people that want to do good, that are willing to like, oh, as long as it's convenient, yeah, I'll take, one Saturday out the month to do XYZ, or, on Giving Tuesday, I'll go in my pocketbook and give out a little bit of something. But I feel like there's a difference there, right? And it's our responsibility, or the responsibility of those that call themselves committed to doing the work, to make it as convenient as possible for everybody else to make the world better. That's organizing.
Yeah. I mean, it's maybe it's a delusional belief that there is a better tomorrow. It could be something like that. But generally speaking, I think if you look at like energy companies, or what used to be oil and gas companies, these guys have totally changed their lexicon and their focus to be more so towards sustainability, and the sustainability of things, and the carbon emission of things, and the all of these things from a corporate side even is looking more so to in appearance wise to be ethical to a certain extent. And I think that speaks towards what the consumers growingly want more of, so it's just a matter of just I think that speaks towards a better tomorrow. Maybe I'm just being too optimistic.
I mean, I think there's several conversations, right? There's like, is there a pathway toward a better tomorrow? Absolutely. Do we have the means of informing people in a way that they trust, in the way that they can understand, to act in their own interest collectively, especially if that inconveniences them individually? I don't know, but
yeah.
I think, yeah, man, I'll put it like that. I had another point, but I forgot it.
I mean, look, what and I didn't mean to start off with so much seriousness, because we have a whole program that we got
cool.
putting it out. But I just I just always appreciate your insight with it, because you're somebody that is a community organizer, right? You're in the front lines. You're working with the people and understanding what it is that they're going through. You're providing solutions. You're seeing tangibly what helping, and you pull the people together that do the helping. You know what I mean? It's so getting your insight about what you see the future of tomorrow, if we can be that glossy without wordage. Yeah, you'd have a very interesting view on that.
Yeah, well, the future of tomorrow is promising in that there are people that really do care, and I think it's a small number, but when they get together, it's extremely powerful, right? When those networks of people that are invested in the people come together to give the people the tools to lift themselves up, that's when we're in a good position. But it's about communication, and it's about who is a credible messenger to the people, right? In a lot of ways, I try to be that, but in a lot of ways, I can't be that, right? I went to high school in the suburbs. That's my Chicago card is gone for sure, forever. No matter how much I do, no matter how many, no matter where I was originally born at, no matter what. You know what I mean? There's and part of that is what has allowed me to do. Part of that, not only just the education of being out in the burbs, but that separation from all the things that for sure would have drew me in. I was very draw-inable. You know what I'm saying? I love the life, the street, the hip hop. I'm about to start rapping right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not to conflate those two things, but man, yeah, it's complicated. It's complicated getting the right people, giving the right people the power, and making that a diverse enough group of people that everybody gets lifted up and everybody eats and everybody's accountable.
That's a fact. Yo, so over this week we had a very interesting conversation offline, and I said to you, Mr. Miles, please stop this chat right now and save it for the podcast, because I feel like this is an extremely relevant conversation for us to be able to have. You, Mr. Miles Xavier, are an executive. You're in the position where you are looking through CVs and going through things, and you make decisions on who to hire and who to put groups together. That is your task as an executive. Would you, not just under this capacity, let's extend it widely.
Okay.
Would you hire somebody? And you see, and this is the difficult thing about this question, because there needs to be a better way there needs to be a better way to ask it without sounding sexist. Do you mind helping me with that?
You might be in this hole by yourself, because I didn't. to my understanding, the question should be, would you hire anybody that you find attractive? Right?
That's
Should
the best
you
way to
hire
put it.
should you hire somebody you find attractive? Right? Whether you are a male or a female, whether you're hiring that, like, whether you're bringing them onto a team in a capacity where y'all are of equal standing or they're gonna work under you, like whatever the gender dynamic is, you find this person attractive. Should you hire them? Right?
Now,
And since you messed up the question, I get to flip it and ask you first.
damn. It's they need like this is the thing, right? They're definitely part of being an executive is having the skills of being able to maintain a professional demeanor at all times.
Put
Right?
them tap dancing shoes on, boy. Put them on.
No, it's not.
This one. See, first of all, you're an executive, so you have to have the skills.
But I mean, if you're in the position to hire, but I think it plays into power dynamics, right? Like sex, money, and power, they say are three dynamics that work with each other quite oddly, right? There's a weird dynamic that comes to it. If you know yourself, if you know yourself to be somebody that would like that finds it difficult to look past things like that and look past those types of urges, then definitely don't do that. That's a conflict of interest. In fact, that's a terrible idea. I would not suggest that at all. But if you're somebody that believes that they can, and that is something that you can look over, then in that case you do it. I for one myself am somebody who doesn't struggle with that problem, so that's not something that I would necessarily care about. But like,
I don't know why you put the sexy voice on when you said you don't struggle with that problem, but we'll look over that for now, right? But I think what the really interesting thing about what you said, right, is that, okay, if you can't overlook that, then you shouldn't hire that person. But really, if you can't overlook that, you shouldn't be in that position of management. You shouldn't be in that position of hiring, right? If you can't like know for sure that you have the self-control to make sure that your actions, decision-making, conversation won't be influenced by the fact that you might find this person attractive, then you have a real serious question, like consideration to take into your role of leadership. Like, should you have that? And that's asking a lot just because somebody found somebody else attractive, right? It's tough.
bro, what makes that even worse is that take a poll of most of the people in power, men in power specifically, they're abusing that power. So most of the people if we look at the masses, bro, we're speaking, most people don't actually exercise that type of restraint. Like most men are abusing that type of power. So you can't say though that men shouldn't hire attractive people. One, it doesn't matter if a woman's attractive or whatever you would conceive as attractive, because power is that's not a criteria for somebody for a boss to hit on their employee or do funny things like that. But like that's just the statistic. Most men are doing it.
Yeah, it's I think it just comes back to self-control, man. It's uncomfortable, right? It's uncomfortable to recognize that. It's uncomfortable to, like, you know what I'm saying? If you're sitting across from somebody, like, say you're in a job interview, right? And it's like there's this candidate and you're like, man, like, you would be an excellent candidate for this job position, but there's also this other underlying thing that I have to check within myself, right? And it's just an interesting situation, man. It's just the trappings of leadership, I think, challenge you have to be a certain type of person, man. And sometimes we try and separate like your professional life and your personal life, but you have to be a certain type of person to be given power in any regard, right? And you gotta have a system within yourself to check yourself and a system outside of yourself to check yourself.
Yeah. Like the lesson, at least for me, and a lesson that needs to be shared even more, especially to young men, is to be like, one, you do not have to sleep with every woman that you come across. You do not have to try and sleep with women that you come across. Like, that's for real though, because the earlier you what
No, like, I just want to, like, you feel like we're at the point where that needs to be said, and that's like dire in itself, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? We often have
the
Go ahead.
instinct, the instinct to like it's small different micro habits that we form over time, and thinking habits that then lead to people of power, to men in power specifically, if we're going to talk about that type of dynamic, right? But like, it's small microaggressions. Like, it's okay to holler at a shawty at a win. It's okay to pull up a shawty in different places. It's okay to shout out loud, "Hey, what up?" Like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And then you get to that point of power, and then it's okay to hit on your employees, that type of thing. But if you started from young, to be like, it's also okay to look past those urges and admire something beautiful for just being beautiful without having to be actually trying to have sex with it.
You said a lot right there, right? Being able to admire something beautiful just for being beautiful, and to separate that from your own sexual urges or whatever, you know, that's a little golden nugget right there. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, man, you got at really the important crux of the conversation, which is like, just knowing that this is you have to have a knowledge that this is a whole other person, right? Like, they have their own stuff going on, and the last thing they need is for you to be projecting your desires, your wants and needs on them, especially if there's a dynamic of power in that. So
Yeah.
Crazy.
Now you are. Let's fast forward. Miles Xavier, because right now, what's up?
My bad. I remember the other thing that I was gonna say. What you said was like something that we say often, right? Is what is understood doesn't need to be said, right? And I feel like we find ourselves in this place, and like on a variety of topics, right? Where we don't even have the consensus of what that thing that's understood is, right? So, but we all think we're just in this place where we can't agree on the basic tenets that underlie how we form our values, right? Until I started hearing more from women, I thought all dudes understood the line as I understood it, in terms of being like, yo, fam, like, it is really fun to be engaged with women and to be flirtatious, but it's all about like consent is there. It's the non-negotiable, right? And to hear that that's not being adhered to, like, you know what I mean? That's crazy. And I feel like that applies to topics that we'll get into too, even with this Kyle Rittenhouse thing, where it's like the foundation of what's okay, the foundation of what we want our streets, our cities, our environments to be like, what we want our children to have access to and do. Like, we just don't agree on those fundamental things anymore. And so what's understood doesn't need to be said, can be something among people that share a code, but we need to talk more in public because not much is understood.
But like, that's what I'm saying too. Like, and I fully agree. That's why I was saying starting it young, right? And addressing things from a young age and being able to make sure that everyone's on the same page about things. Let's look at, like, because I love the brain and like understanding like where impulses come from and stuff like that. Like, it's important to realize that the brain is a muscle, right? And your emotions and your emotions and feelings are linked towards the link between your brain and how your brain engages with the rest of your body. That has a lot to do with your diet, your sleep, and your habits. Those all reinforce to the brain how you should be feeling, and then the brain is gonna let off of those signals. So, all to say, we're constantly in a place where the brain's two main functions are to find food and to reproduce, right? Those two things are like ingrained in the hardwire. That's what this muscle is trained to do, is to get you to a place where you can get food, and it's also to get you to a place where you can reproduce. Now, in order for that to happen successfully, there needs to be some mental shortcuts that the brain takes in order to get you to a place to be able to do that. That's why you can get hungry at certain times. If you have a set habit of when to eat, at that time you'll feel hungry, because the brain has made sure to have an internal wire to be like, at this time you're going to eat because you usually eat at this time, and that's the energy that you're going to need. All to say, it finds a shortcut to do that. Same thing happens with these impulses that we have with these checking checking shorties out, trying to holler at everybody. To a certain extent, there is it's important to understand there is like a biological drive that takes you to want to go do those things, but also at the same time you can observe them and change them. You don't have to be subjective to that. Same thing with porn. Same thing with any urge, actually, almost any urge. It's just a matter of understanding how to confront it.
Big facts. And there's many ways to confront it, right? One way for sure that I know that you engage with heavily is meditation, right? Slowing down, allow your thoughts to pass and observe your own thoughts. And you can separate things, right? Like, I'm attracted to this person and any type of acting on that, or even I'm upset with this person, I'm going to treat them this type of way, or I'm not going to do this for them, right? Or there's just so many benefits to being more observant of your thoughts. And if meditation isn't your thing, for me, I appreciate this space. These conversations with you for sure is another space where I can kind of slow down my own thought process, have somebody else to bounce it off of who's moral code and who's you're a solid dude, bro, and I appreciate having somebody and we don't always agree, and that brings another positive energy to it. So I encourage everybody to find a space to slow down with your thoughts, solo, in groups with the people that you trust. Make those type of connections, have difficult conversations. That's what this show is about, man. We carefully curate those and serve them up every week. Boy,
hey man, let's get to the rest of the show.
Yeah, I get that, but is we live though? Is we like all the way live though? You heard?
Yo, Miles, you are, in times like this, you're the perfect person to come talk to about things, man. Over the week, we heard the verdict from the Kyle is it Rittenhouse case?
yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse.
We heard the verdict from the Kyle Rittenhouse case. We're seeing the response that everybody's having on the streets, right? We're seeing the response that's happening, and like my brother Miles likes to do, is acknowledge that first of all, people died, so rest in peace to the people that have lost their lives, right? In this scene, that's an important thing to point out. This was based off of murder of a black man within that same place. So no, he didn't get murdered. He got shot, paralyzed, but nevertheless, peace and healing to all those people involved. That being said, people are angry. People are livid about this. You, as the activist that you are, the respected activist that you are, what are your feelings? Like, how do you feel getting the news of him being found not guilty on all charges?
I feel now better than I did when I heard the news. So the news broke on Friday, and it's Sunday now. So I've kind of had 2 days to like process. But when the news broke, there was a feeling of confusion in myself, and not because the verdict was unexpected by any means, right? I wholeheartedly expected not justice. I wholeheartedly expected to be disappointed. I wholeheartedly expected for him to get off. And before I go even too much further, I want to contextualize that with, I think our one justice system, this unequal justice system that treats white people a certain way and everybody else a completely different way. Our system of justice, our system of mass incarceration, I think needs to be reformed. So when I talk about wanting to see justice, I'm conflicted there too, because I'm not saying I want more people to be incarcerated. So let's focus on accountability, right? Let's focus on responsibility. Let's focus on the types of like the narratives and the messages that we send when so much of America's society and culture has been formed in court cases. So it's really it's really deep to look at the public reactions to the lack justice, our justice system and the lack thereof, right? So I know I'm rambling a little bit, but this is I'm trying to kind of give the full context of this. So Kyle Rittenhouse is 18, was 17 at the time that he went to a protest in Wisconsin, leaving from his home in Illinois, right? To protect property is what his defense team argued at a protest in response to the shooting of Jacob Blake, right? And so during the course of his protecting property with his AR-15, right, that he purchased illegally, the 17-year-old gets into an altercation with people that are protesting and ends up shooting two of them, killing two of them, and shooting a third person who survived. He was brought up on 5 different charges: first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree reckless homicide, attempted first-degree intentional homicide, and 2 counts of first-degree recklessly endangering safety. He also had a misdemeanor charge of carrying a dangerous weapon, which the judge threw out on a technicality. And he was cleared on all of these charges, right? So when I first saw this, I felt confused because I expected him to not have to face any type of consequences. But why was I still so frustrated? Why am I still so hurt by this? You feel me? Like, why if I expected it, why am I still so hurt? You know what I'm saying?
It's hard not to be. It's hard not to be hurt because what you're looking at is a process play out that every time it happens, the reinforcement of your reality just gets compounded, right? If you look at this case in just a legal view, and you isolate what the defense was arguing and what the opposition was arguing, right? You can find room to justify his actions if you look at it from a legal sense, right? Which is something that has been done, hence the verdict, right? And I've looked into some of the information regarding what the defense was trying to prove, which is an intent and premeditation and things of that nature. But in that same, if you watch the rest of that video and you scroll and you zoom back from just the legal lens, what you see is this young white boy with this machine gun. He shoots somebody. He shoots 2 people. When he's done shooting those 2 people, he's walking with his assault rifle towards the police, and the police drive by him. Shortly afterwards, the police stop, engage him in a conversation, and in this image that we have over here, they then walk side by side together. Even after, audibly on the video, you can hear people saying he shot somebody, he killed somebody, he shot somebody, he killed somebody. From that point up until the verdict, that is where this whole situation begins to paint out the reality in many different ways of the American experience, right? Paints that whole reality out, that you can have this young child feel entitled to have an assault rifle and take it upon himself to justifiably go out into the streets, murder some people, and then no repercussion of a young man with a massive weapon in the middle of a riot. Police cars are going by and then befriend him. That same privilege is no way can be extended to many people in the US. And that's where it begins to hurt even more.
I was having some conversations kind of breaking this down with my girl, and something she said was like something we heard a lot, you know, growing up, trying to make sense of the discrepancies of justice between Black people and everybody else, was that there are 2 justice systems. right? There are two just. There's the one that the white people experience that is fair and just, and there's the one that black people experience where, you know, you're screwed pretty much. You know what I mean? Like you really don't have a fighting chance. And that's really not correct. It's one system. It's one system that is meant to uplift and treat white people a certain way, give them the full benefit of the doubt, and lean into any excuse to cause bodily harm to a person of color, right? Or a person who's not a white male, right? And it's I was looking into too, like, because to your point, right? So there it is very they if you go on CNN.com, you can read all of their legal analyst breakdown of all of the reasons why legally this was a very arguable case for self-defense. But what you just broke down when you're talking about the way that he was treated in the moment as somebody who was just shot somebody by the police, still armed, allowed to keep his weapon, not cuffed, right? We saw a treatment that stung us in the same way with Dylan Roof, right? Who shot up a church full of black people. There's a consciousness, there's a decision being made, right? By the collective of people who think that this is okay, by any media who's pushing that message or saying that he's a hero. That is okay to do this. That this is what we want to happen, right? We want young white men to be able to live this life like it's GTA, and everybody else has to bear out the consequences, right?
Yeah.
I was reading the CNN legal analyst breakdown, and what they kind of ended with was that the jury instructions were centered around the term reasonable, right? And the jury was instructed to look through the lens and perspective of Kyle Rittenhouse on the night of these events, right? And that's the part, like, that's part of the jury instructions. And when going back to the complexity of talking about a system that you already know needs to be reformed and expecting justice from it, there's this deep, like, unsettlingness about the jury didn't have to be told that, right? I'm sure it's an important reason why the case was won, but the jury didn't have to be told that. Within that court system, within that system of justice that exists within the United States, they are forced. Their perspective is fixed to look at through the lens of white men, right? And we know for sure that we will never get that as black men, as black people, as people of color. You know what I'm saying? As marginalized people, even if you instruct them to look at it through our lens, the system don't.
It wouldn't do it. And that's what this whole court system really shows out, right? Like you pointed out, if you look at it just from a legal perspective, you can justify a route where this person can come out not guilty. He's not guilty based on the objective of what this case was predicated on, which is self-defense, right? And if you see the videos, he is being attacked in those videos, or is in an altercation in those videos. Therefore, the clauses that would constitute a self-defense are in motion there. But the ability for the court to remove the additional very important life elements of this case in order to just focus on what the word says, that exception is something that is not generally passed to the people that majority make up the number of people in prison, right? Which would be your black and brown people. That there's no additional caveat to context. There's no appreciation for situational distress. In fact, you are proven you are assumed guilty until you can prove yourself innocent and otherwise, because he was a thug, because he had a past, because he was in the wrong neighborhood. You know, there's those those assumptions immediately are so important when you're working with you have to include assumptions when you're talking about people of color in the courtroom, and that's not the case in this sense. And that's what hurts. I still say, man, that being black in the US is the most difficult place to be a black man. I think so. I really do.
It's very difficult when, like, it's just constant gaslighting. It's just constantly being, the message is that the system is the system, and like, if you, first of all, being told that this is justice, right? Being told that this is the system by the book, and that it works, and then having to face this super dark reality as a person of color, right? Black people in this country have done amazing things. Black people all over the world have done amazing things to win the freedoms that we have by peaceful means, right? Not picking up guns, not marching in the streets, not shooting people as our primary means of achieving freedom, of achieving the right to be treated as equal humans. And we've kind of reached this point where it seems like, at least in this country, society continues to spit in the face of black and brown people and say, you've come as far as you can come, without taking it as far as we're willing to take it. And we're willing to kill you. We're willing to shoot y'all in the streets, in your church, in your bed, in your home. We like, and y'all, we'll get away with it. And there will be no consequences for that. So you've come as far as you can come. And that's a horrible thing to have to face, especially as somebody who is committed to peace, is committed to nonviolence, is committed to trying to make a way, and by means that I would be proud of, that is on the shoulders of this movement of nonviolence, right? It sucks. It feels like us, like the fucking country continues to spit in our face and say, nah, we're willing to take it further than y'all. So it's crazy.
It's a tough show, man. It's a tough show. You know, again, this was bound to be met with the type of frustration that you're seeing play out right now. People are upset, and if you wonder why, it reinforces what people hate most about the justice system in the USA. But you know, this is not an easy show because there's even more bad news for us to get into. You know, if we're speaking on the loss of life this week, we lost Dolph. We lost Dolph this week, man. R.I.P. Young Dolph, who was murdered picking up cookies for his mother.
I heard he was killed outside of a cookie shop, but like, that's literally something I just did like a couple weeks ago. Like, my mother loves key lime pie. I just slid to the bakery to get my mom some key lime pie. Imagine. That's crazy.
Imagine, bro. How sad of a call is that for the mom? How sad of a call is that for the moms? You know what I mean? Like, sad for everybody. A father, businessman. You know, Miles, man, like this sucks, dude. This sucks. Like, this really, really sucks. This is a feature of something that I love so much, which is hip hop, and it's not normal. It's not okay. It's becoming. I'm mad at how numb I am at this news, dude. I'm mad at how dumb I am at this news for somebody who I was such a big fan of, for someone who I really believed in, the whole PRE movement.
There's rap that explains my situation in a way that, you know, really like connects with me on a different level, right? There's quotes that I take and I, you know, that I live by and live with. Dolph was somebody that didn't need to do that for me to love him, for real, man. Dolph was somebody that put together music that was pure joy. Didn't have to be super intellectual. Didn't have to be. It was. I used to put this music on, come like that. Yo, that's self. Nah. What was the role? Was it Role Models? Is that the name of the album, man? Man, I used to put Dolph on coming home from work, and that would be the release. That would be the thing I look forward to. That's how I know I'm back doing me and not just working, trapping. Like, and when somebody has that type of place in your life, man, it's like this is ridiculous. This is so now all those songs that brought me straight up that were just joy that I put on in my happiest moments, when I put on in my least thoughtful moments. You know what I mean? When I'm just trying to enjoy life. And now it's a RIP in front of that forever. That hurts, bro.
That hurts. That hurts. And thank you for like covering what hip hop means, bro. Like that's something that I think sometimes something that gets lost, like what this music means for us, right? Like you said, that's your release, that's therapy for you, that's a place of comfort for you, you know what I mean? And so much hip-hop is exactly that for us, where it's music that is so fitting towards your life, bro. This is the words and sounds and frequencies that encompass your life. They set your mood, and Dolph was definitely one of those people, especially when it comes from a work effort, a work ethic perspective. You know, very much in the same vein as Nipsey Hussle. If you know his whole, if you know his whole focus in his music and his life, the businessman that he is, they're saying there's reports that he owned over 100 properties. He bought his kids foreclosures for birthdays. So a very progressive businessman, you know, and a true believer in his community, someone who has shot in his community, given out food. Not he wasn't shot giving out food, but somebody that, you know, does that quite often. Man, it's it begs the question, like, you know, how much do we have to give to these cities that we care about? Do we have to give our lives in these cities? Is that what we got to do?
So now I think we're looping back around to the question that we were having earlier, bro. Like, I think we're looping back around to, like, what do you believe? What is your end game, right? Are you in this until you see change and you're willing to lay down your life for that? Do you and what does your family think about that? Do you have kids? What do your kids think about that? Where do they come into play? And as well as your other responsibilities, right? Like, are you in it just to, like, to me, man, the more I try and be realistic, and it's kind of heartbreaking. It's like, I'm in this to, I have the freedoms that I have, and I have been able to live the life and enjoy life the way that I have because of the blood, sweat, and tears of the people that put in work before me, right? The people that were community organizers, the people that were civil rights activists, the people that were teachers, the people that were, like, leaders in our communities, right? And so, but that's a tough question. Do I owe my life? Yeah, I do. You know what I mean? But if I'm trying to build a life, if I'm trying to have a wife, if I'm trying to have kids, is it fair for me to keep my life on that line if that's really what I'm about? You know what I mean? And so it's there are no easy answers. There are no easy answers when that's the question. But I think it's about, like, how much do you have to give, and what do you really think is the best case scenario? I want to leave a foundation for the next person that's like me to have research articles, programs that have been tried, that have fed people, a community that remembers getting together, having tangible action come from events. But I don't know if I want to stay here until I die, or until they kill me, right? I might give it 25, and then we back to St. Kitts, still doing work, still lifting up community there. But, like, please don't die over the neighborhood. That's your mama rant.
Your mama rant. Come on, man. And I think, like, bro, what's scary about this? What's scary about this is that these are men that the death of Dolph, death of Nipsey, these are men that carried hope into their neighborhoods, bro. These are the neighborhood hope. You know what I'm saying? People that were front facing in their communities. And I consider myself somebody who has that intention, and I consider you as somebody who is that in their neighborhood too, man. So, like, when you think about it, it's like, because the underlying basis of why somebody would do that there has to be some element of jealousy, hatred, and self-loathing. There has to be some elements of that lead somebody to be able to take the life of a person who is so who is so instrumental within their community, right? So when I see that, man, that's terrifying. It really is terrifying, you know. But at the same time, what I do want to big up, which is super dope, especially off of the back of what you're saying about like being like what you want your legacy to be, and you know, what you intend to do in your neighborhood. What's cool is that they like Dolph's people essentially continue this annual turkey giveaway that he does every year, right? Going into the community, giving these people giving out a whole bunch of turkeys and stuff like that. And these dudes are continuing that, man. And I think that this death is sad and everything like that. But if this is what follows your death, that says something about your legacy as a person. If you drop and people pick up right where you are and continue to do the things that you were doing for your community, there's no bigger flex than that. This is super dope, man. It's so gangster. And it's beautiful to see, you know, just to go to show that this is a man who clearly influenced and touched a lot of people, man. And only one could hope that in my demise, given an untimely demise, this would be the reaction. This would be the reaction.
We're not even allowing that type of talk here, Mr. Sparrow. I don't think. Listen, this is but you're right, man. This is incredible. This is sustainable change, right? This is when you go into a community, you better have a plan for sustainability. You don't be giving nothing away that they can't keep getting. You know what I'm saying? Don't. You know, you gotta or teach them how to get whatever you've given. Like there's gotta be a plan forward. It's gotta be bigger than any one person, right? And to be able to do that shows the type of contribution that this person made to their community. And then on top of that was an artist, man. On top of that, as hard as it is to now have to put a RIP in front of every time I press play on a Dolph track, there's that feeling is there. There's still so much joy to be had, right? That it don't take it all away, and that's for everybody. That's for Von. That's for Pop Smoke. That's for Nipsey. That's for everybody that Biggie, Tupac, everybody that helped raise us. Right after they pass. So what a legacy to leave, man, and rest up Dolph, bro.
Man, if you don't mind, Miles, I'd like to just dedicate my recommended and review just to touch on some of the, like Miles said, this dude, besides the man that he is, Dolph is dope. If you haven't checked it out, check out that Gelato, the Gelato album. Bulletproof is incredible. Role Model, like Miles said, is super dope.
Role model. By mistake, Major. How you love that? Break the Bank. Playing with a check. Come on, man. That album is ridiculous.
Oh God, Smell Like It. Nah, that album is the one. And then Rich Slave that just came out recently. Also check out the Dumb and Dumber series. Listen, man, this is inspirational music, man. This is inspirational, super dope music. R.I.P. Dolph.
Word. Love to Key Glock too, man. I know that was one of his consistent collaborators, man. The culture is hurt by this, you know.
And Blood Cousin.
Yeah, man. Like it's deep, man. This Dolph was a big part of the culture. Not a major name that I would expect everybody on the street to know, but Dolph is on some of the biggest joints, like Drip Like This. Dolph is major, man. Major loss for us, man. But hope he's resting up. Are we even gonna do another recommended in review, man? Like,
hey man, I mean, look, what you listening to? This is sad, man. I don't want to sadden the people out, but it's been a heavy load of week for sure, man. You know what I mean? I lost one of my favorite rappers, bro. This is sad, you know what I'm saying? But like, what you been listening to?
I've been listening to that. They keep shooting my favorite rappers, bro. We need to put that playlist in the description. The homies way came through with the playlist. You know, they keep shooting my favorite rappers. It's real, man. And so as a community, if we're talking about organizing, bringing people together, we can grieve, we can heal as a community too. So make sure that gets posted along with the timestamp, and we got to have that.
Definitely.
I've been bumping this Flip De Niro. Like I've been digging that little EP. Those first 3 tracks are super solid. Between that and that Reason 3-piece is still in heavy rotation. So that's got the speakers gym and like on the hip hop tip. On the R&B side, jump into that Arlo Parks. Arlo Parks has got some dope stuff. I've been catching up on my Cleo Soul, right? Just getting real soulful with it. But that, I tell you, man, that Her album and that Summer Walker album, I've got my R&B playlist on lock. There's some beautiful, well-crafted music.
Wow, Miles Xavier listening to Summer Walker. I remember when that's all I was playing. And you weren't. I won't repeat the words that you used towards me, but I see a lot of growth in you, my brother. I'm quite proud of you.
Dude, you see that's the other thing. You know, you gonna act like I don't have my R&B chops ain't sharp. Like I ain't kicking it with the best of them. We gonna the next pre-show. It's all R&B. It's all joints. I got you. Don't sleep, yo. Christmas is coming. This is the last episode that you will not hear Christmas mentioned at least 1,000,000 times. You already know what I'm saying. That Bryson Tiller Christmas album, go get that. Make sure that you put that Chance and Jeremiah, that Merry Christmas Little Mama back in your rotation. You already know what time it is. It's Christmas at the All the Way Live podcast. It's already red and green. It's stay year round. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be on and popping for the rest of the year. Expect it.
Expect it. Hey, Mr. Miles Xavier, you know, we do this show every single week. We come to these people and we're so grateful because we know. We definitely know.
Yeah, we big know, man, that there's so many places you could be. There's so many things you could be doing. We need this space, man. I was talking earlier about how this space helps me digest everything that's going on in my life, make sense of this world. So we appreciate you joining us for this wild ride as we figure everything out in real time. You figure out what we can learn from the headlines. You know what I'm saying? This is a space of celebrating. This is a space of celebrating love. This is a space of celebrating how good it feels to be Black. Don't it feel good?
Got it on my shirt even.
You know what I'm saying? No, he can't get enough Black. You know what I'm saying? It's Black on Black on Black on Black. Even his screen was Black to me. I don't know if y'all saw it. I don't know what y'all see it, but it's blacked out this episode. You know what I'm saying? And we hope it feels good to be you, wherever you at, whatever skin you're in. Eat something delicious. Hug somebody you love. Get ready for Christmas. This is the All the Way Live podcast. Like that. Peace. Water. We gone.
Yeah.